listening to the Law Enforcement Pirate Radio Network. Radio Free Larry presiding.
You can run, but you can't hide.
Radio Free Larry.
All right, here we go again. The proverbial buckle up, rougher roads ahead. So it's a sensitive topic sometimes to speak about LGBTQ in the way that I do. It's kind of the truth. It just helps understand where the Bible is and where, if you're gay, where you might fit in that Bible in an honest way instead of just going, well, whether they accept you or don't accept you, because you can just make an argument for anything today and call yourself a church. It's been happening through the ages. I mean, people were essentially killed by the church in the name of the church and forced into sin and all sorts of things. So the first part is the original plan was in the garden, and it didn't include this body. It includes your spirit body, which can have form, is both form and formless. And the court will call it your soul. Your soul can actually have a form, a visual form, not a physical form. So your soul is in your body now in a physical place where you can die. Your soul can't die. And that's who you really are. You can burn in hell, but you won't die unless it wants you to sense dying. In other words, if you want other people to sense dying, again, I'm not speaking about venting. I'm not speaking about being angry. I'm not even speaking about you killing somebody physically, because we're in the metaphysics now. We're in the spiritual. So we have a type of homosexuality that exists in Sodom and Gomorrah. That type of sexuality was anti-God. It was, or I guess the community was anti-God. I wouldn't say the sexuality was. Their sexuality was, I guess you could say. They were forcing same-sex sexuality, not relationship, on others. And maybe, in the long run, same-sex relationships. So they were trying to alter people to where they didn't want to be. So again, it's the same kind of argument, but different. Where people say, we're born this way, what are you talking about, da-da-da-da-da. And you could say that to me also, but I'll tell you, you weren't created to be gay, but you weren't created to be heterosexual either. So again, but it doesn't mean that you can't be heterosexual. So the plan was for you to be heterosexual, and it's kind of it's not intended as a test from God, but if people begin to go in a different direction, there's a causation. Any law that God utters in an honest place will effectuate 100%. So let's say we call that sin. Let's just say it's sin. Everybody sins. We all know we sin, whether it's sexual sin or another sin. It's the thing that causes you to sin is what God looks for. And that could be your neighbor. That could be you, because you're out there causing other people to fall, using evil magic, or using spycraft operations. I will tell you, if you're psychologically operating somebody, and of course you'll say, well, we're just razzing a person. Whatever it is they told you to say you were doing, if you're doing what I say you're doing, altering somebody, then you're causing them to fall. So again, that's the thing. If you look at Revelation, that's what burns in the actual lake of fire. The thing that caught. Now that could lead, in the end, to nobody burning in the lake of fire. I brought that up. However, God said they would not accept that level of forgiveness for others. Therefore, that level of forgiveness cannot exist for them. And that's not the only thing that they are. Remember, they're causing other people to fall. They have committed sin unto death. And it's a lot of people. Believe me, it's the church. So when we look at these conservative people that are trying to make people gay, and they're doing this because they can push you out of their society. They can make fun of you. They can do whatever it is that these cops and these church people and these intelligence people and these foreigners that are with them making all the big money, the Ukrainians and Russians that were here, spycraft operating for all the big money people and all the corrupt cops and all the corrupt intelligence people and all the corrupt corporate people. Ha, ha, ha. A lot of them are dead already. Some more will die before it's over. The markets are crashing. All the money they made's gone anyway. As I told them would be the end. Of course, they go, well, your life is worse, isn't it? Well, you just condemned yourselves. I'm not in your life following you around, destroying your life. I'm not altering your psychology. God might be. So again, it's an aggressive, violent. And no, if you're into S&M or something, and you're like, as weird as it sounds, normal about it, you are caused to be that. That's another one of their things, to push you into being an S&M person. And an S&M person, oh, aren't they weird? And they love bestiality. We have the highest protection from God from bestiality, because every one of these cops, every one of these intelligence people, all of these people in the community that are these people that harm their neighbor using psychological methods, they want you to have sex with an animal. They really do. That is their psychosexual dream. So why did I say that term? Why do I use that term? On every account, if you were studying the psychology, because they're not honest, so nobody's really ever studied their psychology or afraid to. They are in psychosexual domination of their victim. So by all accounts, the majority of people that are actually doing this to somebody are actually gay, and they can't deal with it. So they're forcing everybody else to be gay. And they're getting their homosexuality joy off, whatever. But this is the one, this is not really homosexuality, because what is it? It's Sodom and Gomorrah. It's causing another to fall. Gay, you can be gay all day if you have nothing to do with it. And you probably don't have anything to do with it. And that's really about every sin. If you go back to the Bible, it says everybody's going to sin. What the church has done is they try to shift it. And if you're metaphysical, you can watch them try to shift it. It's only the person that does it. No, it's the person that caused it. That's how just God is. It's just amazing. So why is it? Well, there's a lot of things like that. They're blowing up being gay larger than causing strife or causing somebody to be gay. If you block somebody's heterosexual relationships, then you're moving somebody towards being gay. Because the system itself will do that. And it's the system they're in. Well, if you're not with a girl, you must be gay. I mean, they started this when they were, in second grade, and they're still living it? I brought up the 70s and 80s, right? That's the 70s and 80s mind. Again, a lot of these priests that are doing the things that they're doing, it's because they've been willed in that direction and cursed in that direction. And it's big business today to do this to somebody. So yes, they're trying to block it again. The people that are doing it are most likely gay inside, and they're freaked out about it. People to be visibly gay, so they can. If you read the Bible, you're not going to go to hell for being gay, unless everybody goes to hell. And you are here. This is hell, a form of hell. Believe me. It just takes a while, manifest. And for some people, earlier in life, you have to be empathetic, understand how this is hell. Because when you look at a little child being born with all those birth defects and the tubes and all that. It's a form of hell. God doesn't build a person to go through that. Again, the church is very confused on that, on how it all fits together. Just God, if you go to Ezekiel 34, it helps. If you're gay and it just happened in your life, and you're this okay person, you don't want to we have to be the nicest person on earth. But if you're an okay person and you just ended up gay, Ezekiel 34, and God's going to protect you. I recommend believing in Jesus. I just do. And if you don't, there's other mechanisms that Jesus put out. Funny thing about Jesus, if you read what Jesus says he does and who he is, what the church says he does and who he is mother. So if you're a victim, and victimhood, as the conservatives call it, is in Ezekiel 34, coming directly from God through Ezekiel. So you have to understand that's who you got. Jesus has already protected you. God has already protected you. We look at spiritual blindness. We look at other things. So God is a righteous judge. Now, would that be the numbers in the end times? That's something probably off the scale of the end times. So you see, we also have this additional number that have been what is this person doing? Grandfathered in Ezekiel 34. So what is that? Why would God do that? Because God is a righteous God, number one. But God is countering evil on the planet. So the evil now is, it's been before, but it's church, it's the synagogue, it's the temples, it's the Hindu, it's all of them when it is them. And it's not them when it's not them. See, there's no place on earth that you can point to that is holier than another place or less holy than another place. You really can't. I went into churches and had the worst time in life trying to stay away from sexual thought because women were eyeing me. And apparently, I guess it was for the government, trying to turn me on to make a move in the church so they can condemn me. I mean, they pay good, right? Fundamental Baptist money. They come in, maybe bring up a couple tax ideas about the church and your school or whatever it is. So again, that's sexualization. So the government made sure I was sexualized everywhere. So what does that do? That begins to build something, and maybe this is the way the world really is. But what's the fact? As they did that, that's the way the world became, including them. McCarthy has stuff in his history. Nobody will say it because the spies show up. Trump has stuff in his history. Everybody says it to a certain degree, but they won't say all of it because the spies show up. Trump's most likely a pedophile. This is a fact of life. I mean, it's probably an 80% chance. So what does he do? He's part of something that points at other people and says they're pedophiles. So this thing that QAnon speaks about is actually in the Republican Party. I mean, look at Matt Gaetz. They ruled him. They ruled Matt. That's what that was. But if you watch, Matt Gaetz like, oh, Democrats, let's work together. And they got mad. They go, no, can't do that. It won't work for the spies. And spies include corporate leaders and others. They're running spycraft government out of the private sector and the government. There's, like I told you, there's a vein that runs through government that's evil, and it's this government that has taken over the government. The real government people are out here. Most of us. That is. I mean, there's people who've never been in government, and they run government from inside. And they come and they try to kill us. are. They're sick. The government. They was in the Soviet. But,